Hey, this is Pastor Brett. Welcome to the recap of week 2 as we read through the Bible this year at Mount Paran North. To me, looking back over the chapters we just covered, Genesis 25 to 42, the big idea to me is covenant. You know, God made a covenant in week 1's reading with Abraham back in Genesis chapter 12. And from that time to the end of our reading here in chapter 42 covers approximately 280 years. So what we read very quickly this week unfolds very slowly. And Moses, who wrote the book of Genesis, at God's direction, I think he focused on something that's pretty consistent throughout the entire week's reading, and that's the covenant. The covenant that he made with Abraham, how is that going to get moving? So in chapter 26, he renews the covenant with Abraham's son Isaac. And so on and so forth. After that, he renews the covenant with Isaac's son, Jacob, just 2 chapters later in chapter 28. And then he actually renews it again in chapter 35. So we see this consistent theme in this week's reading about the covenant and how it's moving over this course of time. So to me, what that speaks to and what I think God's focusing on in this section of Genesis is his persistence, his pursuit of covenant faithfulness with not just Abraham, but his descendants as well. And we see God going after these guys who are attempting to have faith in him, but they're failing miserably. They make a lot of people upset. You can go, if you were along with us in the reading, you saw that people wanted to kill Abraham. People wanted to kill Isaac. They wanted to kill Jacob because they had messed up. They had lied. They had deceived. All these problems that they have. But page after page, we see God's covenant faithfulness in his divine intervention, his redemption at work. And to me, what I take away from that now as a Christian is that we see God's grace already at work here with this first family of covenant, Abraham's seed, Abraham's offspring. God is already being gracious to them, that despite their failures, despite their problems and their sins, he is going to pursue covenant faithfulness with them. And keep in mind, so what's coming later in the Old Testament is the rules, the law, the covenant of Moses, if you will. All this is prior to that. This is about faith. And we know how the story ends now as believers, that this idea that God established with Abraham and renewed with Isaac, renewed with Jacob, is that all the nations of the earth are going to be blessed through them, through their offspring. So we know that to be Jesus. And so we already see it work here in the first few chapters, in the middle chapters of Genesis. God is still looking for people of faith. And that gives me great hope because I know that I mess up. I believe that you probably mess up. But God is about covenant faithfulness to you and me. And he will move heaven and earth to keep his word to us. And that's what excites me. And I hope that you got out of this week's reading as well, is that knowing what we know now about Jesus, to see grace and faith already at work in the chapters of Genesis, man, that excites me because it reveals the character and nature of God and gives me hope that I don't have to be perfect. I need to stay in covenant with him, and he's going to pursue me, and he's going to pursue you all the days of our lives. And I pray that spoke to you this week, and these kind of couple of thoughts that I've shared this session with you speak to you as well. God bless you.
We'd love for you to join us as we read through the entire Bible in 2026. To get started, visit mountparannorth.com/Bible, where you'll find the full reading plan and other resources. Or click the link in the description.